The RS Wave Ethereum price action update. Okay, so just going back to that previous Ethereum idea where, a bit confusing, but with the 500 and the 1000 period moving average on the daily, as I mentioned, we did hit that resistance at that point, right? Sure, it didn't reject it straight away, but upon closer inspection now, we can see roughly what's going on. I'll get to that in just a minute. So, I mean, you can see how price action, bounces around these particular types of numbers on the moving average, 500, 1000. So, you bounced off it, you went through it, you came back and you retested. So that to me, it really just does make me think that this is going to go lower as well. Okay. If Bitcoin goes lower, Ethereum will go lower. Now, I don't know if you remember from my previous update, I believe this is a giant bubble B wave, right? This particular chart here doesn't show you what I mean exactly, but it's on one of my previous videos, which I'll link at the bottom of the Trading View idea. If you're looking at this video on another platform, just go to the description. You'll see a link to the Trading View ideas, which usually link to each other. Anyway, so just going back to the 4-hour, let's go to the 4-hour chart, right? So, okay, well, before we do that, same scenario, we've got a zigzag pattern here, or it could be a 1 2 1 2, right? Like 1 2 1 2. Okay, this is my type of thinking here. It seems to be very common across the board. This could be a 1 if it's a week 5 wave move, right? Which means this bounce here could be a 2, right? It could be a wave 2. Okay, so very interesting times indeed, especially if there's an opportunity to short using the correct method. So if we go down to the 1 hour, this is what my count is now looking like. Yeah, sure, we've crossed moving averages here and there, but I don't really use them for that particular reason, especially when you're dealing with these kinds of patterns. Just to me, it's just you either need smaller time frame type settings, but to me the waves are good enough. So in my view, this particular one turned out to be A, B, C, D, E, and there's a there's a reason for that. It's because this move never made a new low, so therefore it can't be a D. So using the deductive method of analyzing, and also this doesn't look like a wave 3 in the middle. Anyway, so the move up, the big bounce, the E wave typically, or not typically, but can be a fake out wave, can make you think that we're moving up, can make it look like we're getting a bounce, and then things just turn around from there. I think this is very similar to what's happening in the stock markets. But like I said, we don't know how it's going to pan out. It could grind down in week 5 wave moves, or it could go just start getting sharper and more, just worse to the downside. I'm not going to speculate on what causes that kind of thing to happen, especially like grinding down price action in this kind of environment where they're lifting rates and doing who knows what kind of wizardry behind the scenes to prevent catastrophes from happening. Anyway, moving to this particular E wave, right, which I believe is an E wave at this point in time. Okay, simply because of the way that these other waves unfold. For me to call that a wave 1, A, B, yeah, it doesn't make sense. The C, it's a stretched out D again. The zigzag stretched out D. A lot of pressure to the downside there. I mean, look, it A, B, C, D, where's D, right? If you're looking at in a bullish perspective, right, there is none. Okay, I did at one point think that this could be the D, and then we saw this. It doesn't make sense because wave three here is the sharpest, so it makes sense that this is the middle of the move of the 5 wave move, right? So plus we hit that resistance on the daily. Um, it's also lining up with a lot of the other markets, and even if they're not exactly the same correction, they sure as hell will probably fall when the time comes, probably in a similar at a similar time. Um, but corrections, they're never always the same. That's just it's just a fact, right? You can only do your best to try and determine the pattern. That's about it. Okay, so we had a small wave two, alternation, rule of alternation. That's something that Elliott wave did get right, and that caused wave four to be pretty big, right? And we have a CDE pattern here, and then we have a final high and a sharp reversal. So to me, it's kind of like, well, you could just break that low here and go short, or you could wait for a bit of a bounce before it goes short, right? That's pretty interesting, but it depends how you want to play it. Um, Obviously, this idea is a bit different than the Bitcoin idea, where it's playing out a bit different, but they are different markets. And if we do get like a breakdown below the magenta dotted line here, and we do get a little bounce, that could be a little bounce in Bitcoin, but it'll move, you know, because it's a bigger coin, it'll move, percentage wise, you know, a bit differently, right? In other words, what I'm saying is we're looking for the end of a move down and then a move up. So it's sort of like, you follow the waves, you follow the flow. Do you see any similarities with the movement, even though they're not the same waves? That kind of makes sense, right? If I said to you that all the waves are exactly the same, you'd probably, it's just not possible, okay? I mean, as much as it'd be nice, then you could just trade anything and it'd all just be the same, wouldn't it? Well, obviously, no two markets are the same and no wave patterns are the same, right? They're as unique as we are as people. Anyway, so that's my view on this. Whether it's, like I said, it's a hard one to decipher. However, there could be a clue. There could be a clue that this could be a type one week five wave move to the downside. And I suppose it would be like if you take a fib here, you went back to 50%, right? Okay. What happens if we take the fib from this high down here? Okay, so it didn't quite bounce to 50%. So, you know, the retracement is shallow, in comparison. So this could be a straight five wave move, you know. Like I said, we just don't know. And that goes for all the coins. We just don't know how that's going to pan out. All we can do is trade a move down, pay attention to how it unfolds, and then make decisions along the way. Right? That's what we're doing here. That's why there's always updates. Otherwise, you'd get. Well, occasionally I still get people saying, "Is XLM still going $125?" Something that I said like 10 years ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you still get this sort of stuff, and I don't respond to those comments because obviously I update all the time, and I'm giving you my view that can change because I don't know the future. I can't tell you the future. I don't have a magic crystal ball here that tells me exactly what's going to happen, right? I'm giving you the probabilities based on RES wave. I created RES wave. So, I feel like it's good for me to put these ideas out as regularly as I can. But It's not always going to be that weekly thing or every 2 days or every day. Sometimes it'll speed up, slow down, whatever. You get the point, right? Because it depends what the market does, and it depends on the opportunity. Like if you go short here and I don't post, in a day or two, you're not going to get too worried because what we're expecting is a big drop. But if something happens to change and that's not no longer the case for whatever reason, right? Then obviously I'd put an update out. But if it's just going to keep falling, I'm just gonna sit there watching it fall. That's it. I'll get back to you. Anyway, that's enough from me. Hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.